Hello, and welcome to my third and last look at Retro Game Crunch, a compilation of 7 different games, each made with a theme selected by the game's Kickstarter backers. If you'd like to see my thoughts on the other games, feel free to watch those videos first. I'll wait a moment. Alright, enough waiting. The next game, Brains and Hearts. The theme, Einstein's Dreams. This is definitely one of the stranger themes to be picked to bring up one of the stranger games in the compilation. It's a one-on-one card game built around organizing numbers in numerical order or 3 in a row. You can play as either the doctor representing hearts or the robot Brainstein representing brains. Brainstein plays first because he has no heart, presumably because the robot's too fascinated grasping his robot nipples. Glad I got that image in your head now. The object of the game is to figure out the best way possible to make the opponent lose all of their cards. To make a card game like this work is to balance the risk versus reward gameplay in a way that feels fair to both sides, including the all-important luck factor. The first time I played this, I got both my brains and hearts blasted into oblivion, but once I played a few times, I really understood the rules and found it to be an enjoyable card game. It really nails that spot, blending the look of the draw with giving the player opportunities to incorporate strategy. There's a lot of different factors at your disposal, like the dice that you can roll to either let you manipulate the cards or make you lose a turn, the placement of the cards, and how you can lock down your cards for the next turn so the enemy can't use it. The game also has a 2-player versus option, which unfortunately has to display both hands for each player at once. There's not much that developers could really do about that besides having online play and asking Kickstarter for a few $1,000 more to support that. The luck factor is still here in the 2-player mode, and it might take away from the surprise factor, but it's still pretty enjoyable. Brains and Hearts has a steep learning curve for some, but is a really well-polished card game with some nice presentation. And the final game on Retro Game Crunch, Shootin the Theme, The End. Now we are talking. The game is a shoot-'em-up with a feudal Japanese theme. The main character here operates with a sword that serves 2 functions. It can ricochet projectiles, acting as a shield, and it can downward thrust into an enemy to gain a shooting ability. There's quite a variety of different weapons at your disposal, such as shooting stars, a spike ball and chain, arrows, and a whole bunch more. A common trope of shoot-'em-ups is that you have different power-ups that you can obtain, sometimes involuntarily. The refreshing thing here is that once you have a power-up that you like, you keep it and can stab a different enemy if you'd like to switch. I'm not sure if this is something that other shoot-'em-ups haven't done, but it was a nice refreshing change here. Each level has you collecting cash, which you can use to buy permanent upgrades for your weapons, and some added protection via armor or an extra life. The store can have some pretty hefty prices, so you may have to go back and play easier levels a few times to gain some more cash. I could see this part being a bit of a grind for some, but for me, I wasn't bothered by it because the gameplay is incredibly satisfying. The individual levels have some nice variety of enemies and settings given the theme, like a rice field, an old bridge, a waterfall, and a volcano, just to name a few. The enemy placement is perfectly balanced with the upgrading system, as the amount offers a great challenge for players starting off, and a great feeling of satisfaction to destroy your opponents with your new toys. It's a lot of fun experimenting with the different weapons for the different levels, where the ball and chain can be really useful for one area, and the ninja stars are much more effective in another. One issue is that the game does have an auto-fire feature, but I found that tapping the button gives you much faster results. I'm sure a few of you super nerds can get some turbo button configuration going for your PC, but I wasn't bothered by tapping the button, and in a small way it replicated the arcade experience. The game also offers a 2-player co-op mode, and I can tell it's probably just as much of a blast to play with a buddy. Of all the games on Retro Game Crunch, Shootin is one of the most satisfying in the bunch. The level of variety, the great attention to balance with enemy placement and the upgrading system, and the amount of content here, it stands out as a really strong entry in the collection. So Retro Game Crunch as a whole stands as a really solid collection of titles. It has 2 excellent games, 4 strong and interesting games, and 1 pretty solid game. It took me roughly 9 hours to complete all the games in the collection, and that doesn't include getting high scores or the extras in some of the games. Is Retro Game Crunch worth the $15 asking price? I'd say absolutely. The collection has something here for everybody, including both strong single and multiplayer friendly games. The collection is available now for the PC and Mac through their website, cross-platform, and DRM-free. As of now, there are no plans of bringing the game to Linux or other platforms, with the exception of Steam, as the game's been greenlit. As a matter of fact, the compilation is up on Steam right now at the time of this review. Like I said earlier, the compilation is very much a product of our time. At the same time that it's a celebration of the game making progress from fan interaction to working within set limitations, it does highlight some of the hardships that come with it. Retro Game Crunch is a time capsule of what game creation is like in 2014. Not all video games need 2 years of development to be relevant. It's a celebration of the experimentation of the way games are made, and Retro Game Crunch is most welcome in my collection. Thanks for taking the time to see my thoughts on Retro Game Crunch, with a thanks to the devs for answering a few questions on their games. If you liked what you saw here, feel free to check out my last review on Trace Vector. Thanks again for watching, have a great day.